Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see this time we are going to talk about fresh release from ICM. It's a kit in 1/35 scale and copies a BM-13-16 truck on actually it's a launcher BM-13-16 on G7107 truck chassis with Soviet crew, so basically you get all the things which you see on the box art, and as I said, that's the final shape of this kit, so you'll get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. So first of all, I have to say that box art is quite nice. Kit number is 35596, and it is I would say one of these combo sets from ICM where you get not only the vehicle but figures, so it might be a good start for a diorama project. And we have it in 1/35 scale, so basically you are free to add whatever you would like to have in such build. And you can see that box size is standard for such item. Here you can see comparison with my hand. As I said, box art is nice. Here we have some information about this kit, and maybe I'll check it. So we have 326 parts plus 46 parts, and length of the assembled vehicle will be 190 millimeters. And on the opposite side you will find two marking options which are included into this kit, but obviously you're not limited by them. If you have some reference material, then they are more than welcome to replicate something different. As usual, ICM now seals the box with a tape, so I'm going to cut through it right now and we will take a closer look together, so just give me a second. Okay, so the box design is standard for this brand. We have flexible top section, and also we have white cardboard box, and this box actually protects all the parts inside. And I have to say that overall fitment is quite tight. You can see that there is a little free space inside, so be sure not to place any heavy items on this box. And all frames, well, almost all frames, they're packed into one plastic bag. As you can see, figures come in the separate plastic bag because they are basically the separate set. So now I'm going to open it. First we are going to start with truck parts, and we will check them one by one. Okay, so first of all we have two identical plastic sprues. I will show you only one because they carry the same parts. These are road wheels and also parts for the rear section, but obviously we will not need them because there is no tarp on this truck. There is a rocket launcher on the rear, so that's why these parts will stay untouched. It's also good to see plastic wheels. It means they will be easier to paint and weather on your model, and of course they will be a bit more realistic in appearance, so that's definitely a win for a 1/35 scale, and I'm glad to see such thing in ICM kit. It's a good, let's say, upgrade from all these vinyl elements. Next we continue with a slightly bigger plastic sprue. This one is again dedicated to the rear bed, which will not be used because again we have a launcher, but there are also these large chassis bars. They will be actually handy because they are, let's say, the basic structure of the truck. We also have leaf springs here, a steering wheel, also exhaust for the engine, and I can see some minor parts for the suspension and the front steering. Nothing special, but it's quite detailed for a 1/35 scale out of the box. So it's definitely a good idea to play with weathering of these parts because your truck will only benefit from such techniques, let's say. Next we continue with three identical plastic sprues. Here you can see them. So these ones are dedicated to rocket launcher, and you have rockets as well as these special rails which guide rockets when they're launched. And you can see that overall molding quality is nice. As far as I can note, these rockets, or missiles if you prefer, they're molded as a single piece parts with separate flaps, so you just have to install them one by one and you'll be good to go. But it's really cool that the main body or the fuselage of the rocket comes as a single piece part. It means you won't have any seams in this area, and of course you don't have to use all of them at once. You're free to use only several of them, maybe to depict the vehicle which let's say already shot part of these items, or maybe being reloaded. It's up to you what you would like to depict. Next, we continue with the clear plastic sprue, which comes in the separate plastic bag, and molding quality seems to be fine. We have here glasses for the front cap and also lenses for headlamps, so everything is cool. I'm not sure if the masks for the clear parts will be supplied in form of templates. We'll see it in the assembly manual. But for now, we continue with more parts for this launcher, which will be placed on the rear. Here you can see various subframe parts. And I have to say there is a lot of parts which will require careful alignment. So pay attention to this, because otherwise you might end up with a bit, let's say, tilted stand, and it would look weird. But overall molding quality is really good. Even the thinnest parts, they look nice, and maybe the only tip is to separate them with a plastic saw, because such thing will help you preserve these parts without damaging them. Next, we continue with another gray plastic sprue. This one is dedicated to the engine parts. So this truck should have a really detailed engine out of the box. You don't have to buy any resin upgrades or something else. Maybe the only thing which you can add here is the wiring, but I like what we are supplied here out of the box, and maybe it would be a good idea to expose it somehow so that it will be visible and it won't be hidden under the bonnet. Next, we continue with bigger plastic sprue. Again, it is dedicated to the launcher parts. Maybe I'll start with zoomed in view. So here you can see this large subframe sections, and that's really good that they're molded as a single piece parts, because as I said before, there is a lot of alignment will be involved, and such parts should simplify the whole assembly process, because basically you get large sections aligned in the right way and you just have to coordinate them together. So it's not a difficult task in my opinion. And next, last gray plastic sprue for the truck. Here we have front cap parts. So we have separate front doors, we have separate bonnet, and that's something what might be used for the diorama purposes. So if I zoom in here, you can take a closer look at these elements which I just mentioned. We also have engine halves here. And I really like that doors are separate, because with figures it might be even handy, so that you can replicate open front cap. And interior is not empty here, so that's why if you open the doors it won't be an empty shell inside. Next we continue with wheel axles, the bonnet panels, and another portion of wheel axles, because those should be assembled out of two halves. And note also that the front grille, it should be assembled out of one part. So we do not get a PE, let's say, to replicate this element, unlike in the other manufacturer's kit, if you know what I mean. So this one might be easier, but it will be a bit less up to scale, because obviously plastic is thicker than PE parts. Now I'm opening another plastic bag. So here we have figure parts, as I said before. Let's move this sprue aside, and we will take a closer look at figure parts. So these figures are available as a separate set as well. We reviewed them, and you can find video on our YouTube channel, but here you get them in the standard boxing. And you can see that parts design or parts division is typical for 1/35 scale. We have separate legs, hands, and torso. Of course, all poses are pre-shaped, so you won't be able to change much, but I think it's still good, because ICM sculpting is quite convincing, so it's just a matter of painting them in a proper way. Next, we continue with decals, which are hidden in a truck assembly manual. So let's move this one aside. And it's not a huge decal sheet. Here you can see it. We have only a few symbols. We also have dials for the dashboard, but printing quality looks nice, and as far as I remember, ICM decals are easy to deal with, so there is nothing to be afraid of. Next, we continue with assembly manual. So here we should zoom out and close the lenses a bit so that it won't be that bright. It's a large color printed brochure, and we have short history note and technical specifications together with a paints chart. Next, we continue with this parts map, and a red color means that these parts will not be used, and note how many parts will stay untouched. It might be handy for scratch builders who like to use some extra parts in their builds. Next we start assembly with the chassis bar. As you can see, leaf springs are being installed. Then you assemble these mid-frame bars which will be connected with the other side, and all these parts are designed in such way so that you get the straight alignment, and that's really good because it will make it easier to get the right fitment of these parts. Here we can see the fuel tank getting assembled. Then we continue with engine and gearbox assembly, wheel axles here, and exhaust tube. Also we have the battery being assembled and toolbox and installed on the side of the truck. Next we proceed with the front cab assembly. As you remember, we have separate panels, but again there are guiding elements which will assist you with assembly, so it shouldn't be that difficult. We also have some internal elements for the doors, various handles, and of course glasses. You cannot depict winded down glasses. As you can see, they should be inserted fully, so it's something also to consider. And then we just place this front cap on the chassis sub-assembly. Then we start working on the bonnet. And as far as you can see, manufacturer does not mention possibility to open the bonnet, so it will be up to you how you would like to open it. And the same applies to the windscreen. As you can see, it is depicted here in the closed position. Next, on the step 87, we start assembling the launcher. So here you have to align all these rails together. And it might be a bit tedious assembly, but it shouldn't be really difficult if you're starting such project. I expect that this will not be a showstopper for you. Next, we continue with the subframe. As I said again, we have a lot of alignment, let's say, moments to be careful with. Next, we continue with wheel arches. So here we are given two assembly options, and I guess it will depend also on your marking option choice. And next we proceed with various external equipment which will be placed on the front cap, on the rear section. We also have these external armor panels which will be placed on the front cap. And again, as you can see, these flaps are assembled separately, so you can easily replicate them in open or closed position, even though manufacturer does not mention it. We install headlamps in place, side mirrors, and also the towing hooks here. So that's the first marking option in a green color, and here is the second one. Of course, it's also in green color, but of course I recommend to search for some aftermarket options so that you get something different. And this kit should be already available. You can get it on Modelimex webshop. Of course, I'll be happy to hear your opinion about such a list here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.